But if
Sure.
somebody wanted to move to Japan to get into
Yes.
the industry, what would be
Mhm.
your advice to them?
Good question. Just a few pieces of advice. Learn Japanese, or do your best to learn as much Japanese as you can first. And for anybody getting into the game industry generally, interesting piece of advice that an old mentor of mine gave me, which is it's not enough these days. It might have been 20, 30 years ago. It's not enough these days to just be like, I really like video games. I'm passionate about video games because millions and millions and millions and millions of people can say that, right? What else do you bring to the table? Maybe you really like video games, but you speak three languages. Maybe you really like video games and you're an expert in Greco-Roman mythology. Maybe you really like video games and you have an architecture degree. What else do you bring to the table? What else can you do that's going to add some depth and some breadth to the team's knowledge base, right? So I would say have knowledge or a hobby or expertise in something other than games, and learn the language would be my two pieces of advice. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's actually good advice. I think I remember reading
Mm-hmm.
somewhere that Onuma, who did the producer on the Zelda games,
Sure.
I think when
Mm-hmm.
Miyamoto hired him, I think he made furniture or something. He did some sort of
Yeah.
what? I think I
Yeah,
remember
I think I
reading that.
remember
So,
reading that as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So he was hired
Mm-hmm.
because of not necessarily being a developer, but because of his other hobby or skill set that
Sure.
he
I
had.
mean, there's still the tradition of you got a handwritten resume. So if you're applying to 10 different companies, you've got to spend an afternoon writing out your CV 10 times by hand. You attach a photograph to it, which feels as a Westerner kind of strange, like they're going to judge you based on looks, or I don't know, but it's just tradition. You have to, and it's got to be a certain amount of millimeters and dimensions that to be stapled in a certain way or glued in a certain way to the resume. Yeah, it's a different world from the West for sure.